everyone. Mike Vogel here for WashingtonCaps.com. Welcome to another edition of Break the Ice. Joined as always by crack producer Zach Garrett, and joined today by Dainius Zubrus, big number 9 with the Washington Capitals. Not too long ago, Zuby, but want to dial it back a little bit to your draft year. From Lithuania, born in 1978. So after you kind of came of age after the fall of USSR.
Yeah.
How did that impact your career, and what led to you coming to Ontario to play like a junior level hockey? I guess you were 17.
Yeah. Well, I'll go back a little bit more. I started in Lithuania, where I'm from, small town of Elektrėnai, and when I was 12, it was still sort of Soviet Union era a little bit. We had a team from Kharkiv, Ukraine, come and train in our town. And in Lithuania, the way I started playing hockey, my older brother, who you know, coach went to his school when he was, I think, in the second grade. And I said, Soviet days, he said, okay, just come to rink. We'll give you skates, we'll give you a stick, and you get to try it and see if you like it. And if you have a brother, grab with you. So my brother took me with him, and we went to the rink together. And that's how I started. So from day one, I was with the 2-year older kids. And I think that gave me, because I had to, speed up and keep up. And if I wanted to enjoy being, on the ice with those guys, I had to be just as good. So I liked it. Eventually, I think I was probably best player on that team. And when I was 12, I was approached by a team from Kharkiv, and they were my age. And they said, why don't you come try with us and see how you like it, or how we like you too. So I said, okay. And then, so I went for a couple of camps with them. They looked at me and they said, okay, well, if you want to be a full-time member, you need to move here and you'll go to school here. And so that area spoke Russian mainly, and I knew some Russian. It wasn't fluent, it wasn't perfect, but enough to start going to school in Russian. And so at 12 years old, I packed my stuff, took 24-hour train, and came out in Ukraine, and I started my life there. So that's how I end up going to the better team. I should say, not that's better. I think we were best in Soviet Union at the time, because it was CSKA, which is a Central Red Army Moscow team. They were good too, but we usually beat them. So, anyways, and then we started coming to Canada. We were invited to a Pee Wee tournament in Quebec.
Oh, yeah, that's the big one.
That's the big one. So that's how my North American sort of journey started. We came there. We won the whole thing. Then we got sort of invitations to different towns and to play exhibition games and tournaments and things like that. So our trip was supposed to be maybe 2-3 weeks, but we extended to 2 months. And since then, we were coming back each year, maybe twice a year. So, and play a bunch of games. I'm talking lots of games. And by the time I was 17 or so, there was some scouts of juniors teams and things like that. I was getting approached. I was getting offers from Quebec Major Junior League. Used to be Hall Olympics. There was a team, and then so anyways, eventually I got drafted by Quebec League Val-d'Or. Not Val-d'Or. I went to Val-d'Or, but Laval Titans. But I never went there. And the team fell apart in Kharkiv, Ukraine, in '95. So late '95, bunch of us. But I was on the radar of the red line reports and things like that for the draft. Right, I was 17. I had an agent too from coming. So it was Jay Grossman was my agent, and he had access to all those scouting reports and things like that. And I was, at the time, maybe second round or somewhere there, but I was on the radar of sort of being potentially drafted. So, my option was that if I'm not gonna play major junior, they have to go tier 2 hockey. So a bunch of us, I want to say maybe 10 guys from that team, we came and we spread. And Jay was good at, because he helped out lots of guys, not just me, find teams at least to start to play somewhere. So I went to Pembroke and I played for the Lumber Kings. Yeah, and we were not as good of a team as we wanted to. So before season was over, we didn't make the playoffs. And I got there, I want to say December or late November, something like that. So we didn't make the playoffs, but I was put on the roster in a different league, Metro Junior A, Caledon Canadians. Yeah. So when my season was over in Pembroke, basically right away I packed my stuff, went to Caledon. And that's an independent league. So we won that league. We were a good team and we won the league. And then that's how I sort of set myself up a bit for the draft. And from tier 2, I was drafted by Philadelphia Flyers. Yes, 15th overall.
Yeah, were you at the draft then, or
I was at the draft? Yeah, I was there. And
with your family and everything.
No, I was actually with the coach that helped me throughout my life in Ukraine. I was another player there, so there were a couple players, and of course an agent. And you don't know going in the draft what's going to happen, and there's all kinds of rumors, but it was fun. It was in St. Louis. You get to meet, I don't know how the whole process, I think it's a little bit different now, but you get to meet teams, and so in 2-3 days you get there early, even before actually, let's say in June or so, because I stayed with Jay, who at the time lived in New York. I stayed with him a little bit, and he helped me out too. He was nice. He goes, there's New Jersey Devils, Islanders, Washington, I think they want to see you, and it's locally. So they drove me around, and I don't remember Washington if I did some testing, but possibly.
Yeah.
But we'd do like a treadmill VO2 max or some other thing, and
that combine.
Exactly. So it wasn't a huge test. But, you get there and they run you through something, they check you out. And I did locally these teams, I guess Tri-State. And then went to the draft, even at the draft. But there wasn't physical stuff. I think it's just the meetings eye to eye normally.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've been through a few of those.
Yeah. But looking back, it's fun.
Honestly, Zuby, the thing that impressed me the most about you was you're 18 years old. And you just turned 18 when you were drafted, maybe like a week earlier or so. And then you go to Philadelphia's training camp in the fall. You made that team as an 18-year-old. You look at that team, it's Lindros, Brindamore, LeClaire, Paul Coffey, Dale Howardchuk, like all these Hall of Famers, all these amazing players. And they're a Stanley Cup final team that year. And you're on that team, and you're 18 years old, and you're playing every single game of that Stanley Cup final run. Like how did that happen? And there, I don't think there were any other Russians on that team either. How was that for you?
No, there was no Russians,
being
nothing.
Around guys who are essentially twice your age in some circumstances.
Shel
Samuelson, and like how was that for you?
Shel Samuelson, funny enough, I called him Daddy. I was 18, he was 38, I think.
Yeah.
And he was just a big man, they're just a big man. So anyways, it was, it was, I don't know, me and Yanni Niinimaa were rookies. But those older guys, they welcomed me, they were good to me. Even in the end of training camp.
Did you surprise yourself making that team?
A little, maybe a bit, because you tier 2 hockey played before. But sort of what happened was that after the draft, I didn't go somewhere, whether celebrate or, my goal was, okay, it's a step towards what I wanted to accomplish, and what do I do next? And I had the Flyers. They said, okay, well, if you want to train, want to get ready for a season, don't want to go anywhere else. There was in Hamilton, there was a camp put together where maybe, I don't remember, 6, 7, 8 teams. They would send, 5+ guys of their younger guys. And so I lived in college dorms, and then, but you have access to ice, you have gym, and I think I stayed there like 6 weeks or something. So
Wow.
I trained pretty hard throughout that time, and we're talking July, August. Then I went to Val d'Or because my rights were traded from Laval Titans. They figured I'm not coming there, so they traded there. And then the agent goes, just go, you'll see, because you might, we didn't know. I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
He goes, it's a good team, good organization. I think it could be a possibility for you to play there if you don't make NHL. It's one of the options. So I went there too, and so I was in pretty good shape going to the camp. And Coach Terry Murray, somehow also he was good to me. He throughout the year, well, that's a little bit ahead, but because towards the end of the training camp, there was where you could protect a certain amount of guys. I don't know if the system is a little bit different now, right?
Yeah, there was a waiver draft.
Waiver draft, exactly. Yeah. So because the waiver draft, I think Bob Corkum and Rob DeMaio, got picked up. So there was a little bit of I guess you can say, a hole on the bottom 6 that opened up a bit, right? So those guys were gone, and I'm still around. And I played all the exhibition games. I'm in decent shape. I think I can keep up. And a few days before the camp was over, before season started, Eric Lindros is like, Zuby, let's go for lunch. And I'm okay, let's go for lunch. And Eric at the time was Hart Trophy winner. He's a big deal, right?
He was a stud.
Yeah, a stud. He was a top of the list in the league. So he's like, Zuby, how you feel and how you doing? He goes, I hear that if all goes well, if your agent sharpens the pen, and then you could get it done, and you can probably start the season here. So I'm like, okay. And I'm just assuming that maybe Bob Clark talked to him, and maybe not, I don't know. But he's so we went for lunch, and after that, there was maybe a couple of days later, I signed the contract with, and I started the season to this day. But I think actually it's going to change in a couple of days or today. I'm still the youngest flyer ever, but I think that's going to change.
Luchenko, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw that, and the first thing I thought of was you, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're in the books there for almost 30 years.
Yeah. Well, records are made to
yes,
be broken,
they are.
right? So anyway, so that's good. And so I started the season. First game, got a lucky bounce, scored a goal. Started with Joe Otto, Sean Podine, with the Minnesota boys. And like I said, the older guys somehow, they welcomed me. They were good to me. I think it was maybe a little bit of a different generation where, I come in and I know, these are older guys. They're pros. They're, their kids, families, and I think they felt that I respect them, right? There's a kind of a respect, and I don't know. I want to say that I felt that, and they were treating me well. Bunch of, like you said, Hovercheck, and I think it was hurt one time, and I had some visa issues too. So Dale Hovercheck is like, Zuby, I know you're not going on the trip because it was like some visa issue, I think. So I go into Atlantic City, come with me. So things like that, right? Then again, Eric Lindros, right before Christmas, I was still at the hotel because they didn't want me to stay or rent apartment myself. I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
So Eric is like, Zuby, what are you doing for Christmas? I said, I don't know, probably hotel for now. He's like, then you're coming with me. So I hopped on the plane and I spent Christmas in Toronto with him, his brother, his sister, and his parents.
Wow.
And then we flew, after that was Western trip. We went to, so, guys were good to me.
So you're living in a hotel when you're 18? Like, you're cooking, what were you doing?
I was eating, ordering. I had some places that I knew that I was going to eat.
Yeah.
There's a sushi place I like. There's a few other ones. And, a few months later, I'm on a first name basis with the waiters and the owners and everything. And they're like, Zuby, yeah, there you go. And actually, that place was open for another 10 years or so. So I would go back with my sister and stuff, and we'd have some good laughs. So, yeah.
And you wind up going to Montreal in a trade for Mark Recchi a couple of years later, and that was at the deadline, and then you come to Washington at a deadline trade with Trevor Linden. When you first came to Washington, the team was kind of knocking on the door, was getting into the playoffs every year, and then obviously after that loss to Tampa in the playoffs in 2003, then the rebuild kind of kicked in, and that led to Ovi. And I know that when Ovi came over here, you were instrumental. Like, you were the guy that probably Philadelphia should have had when you came up. Someone so that just someone to stay with, someone so that you don't have to live in a hotel there. Because I know Ovi stayed with George for a little bit when he got here, and I think you were picking him up from George's house and bringing him to Piney Orchard for practice. But what did you see? Because you were one of the first guys to bond with Ovi when he came over here. And so what did you see from him then, and what's it been like for you now to watch him? You play against him for a number of years afterwards, and now to watch him from afar and see what he's accomplished, because you were here on the ground floor of that.
Well, from the day one when he came in, like you said, George lived in Bethesda. I lived in Bethesda as well. So George called me up, and Zuby, I'd taken him to the rink and stuff. So, and I knew Ovi from before a little bit already. So then I could tell that his English was okay, not great, but he wanted to, kind of integrate himself into the team and learn as much as he could early on. And you don't see that much from, Russian guys coming in. So that was good to see. First year he wanted to, even though we were good friends and spending a lot of time together, he's coming to my house, but he's like, I want a roommate, and I think he stayed with Brian Wilsey, if I'm mistaken. Yep. So he goes, I want somebody English speaking. I want to get the jokes. I want to get, more experience with the language and stuff. And that was a good move for sure by then. So, and I saw a lot of that. I saw, then of course his game. People ask me, about the goal, his first goal or the first game and stuff. I remember how I don't know if it was a first or second shift, but he just, went in the forecheck and just ran somebody.
Sushi.
Yeah, almost put the guy through the glass, right? And then, the whole building shook. And I'm like, this is good. This is going to be an interesting year. So I knew that he was a different bird from the beginning. And of course, his the way he, as much as offense he created that year for us, even though he got a Rookie of the Year, I think he could have been, and I keep repeating myself, I think he could have been, not saying winning it, but nominated even for Hart, because he was that good that year. I mean, you were there, you saw it, and how much offense, the team offense created through him, or how much he created offense for our team. It was, I'm not sure. If you run the numbers, and I'm not sure how often you see that. So he was that good. And the second year too, and I want to say maybe, I don't know, I think Andrew Castles was here in the beginning.
Yeah.
And he played with him a little bit, but maybe 10, 20 games into it, Glenn Hanlon put me with Ovi, and we sort of never looked back, never changed much. And then we played a lot of games together, and for a majority of those 2 years, we had fun. He was, again, his enthusiasm, his energy, and and you're saying what he has accomplished and what he's grown into. I think he's approaching the record, and we know how close he is to that. But regardless, not even just the record, I think he is the best goal scorer this game has seen. I think Wayne Gretzky is obviously Wayne Gretzky, and let's not go, but I think it's a little bit of a different era and very, very different players.
Yes.
And the way Ovi does it, how much physical presence he brings, right? Before games too, sometimes, we even on the bench, we'll be like, okay, let's get in the game. Some things are not going. Let's give a hit. Let's take a hit. But we were sort of like that, right? to get going, to get more energy into ourselves, into the game, and he was. So that's how he plays. I mean, he takes a lot of hits, takes a lot of beating, but he also dishes it out. And the way he's been doing it for this long, and like you said, the accomplishments and the records and all the stuff, it's he plays the game, right? He doesn't look for too easy ways. And yeah, I think regardless of a record, I feel that he's, if you're going to talk about goal scorers, he has to be top of the list for sure.
You played 19 years in the league, close to 1,300 games. You got back to the Stanley Cup final with New Jersey, I think, in your 15th season. But I want to talk about what you're doing now in your native country, Lithuania.
Well, after I was done in 16, my last game was, I finished. Somebody said, Zubi, you started with the finals, you finished with the finals.
Yeah, San Jose.
yeah. So, in 2016, when my career was over, I was done. And then about a year later, Lithuanian or Federation, they said, we are going to have a tournament in Lithuania for our division. We think you can play and you should play. What do you think? And then Darius Kasparaitis, who is the other Lithuanian that played in NHL, he wanted to play too, and we both live in Florida at the time. I've played before for Lithuania, but he's never played so he's like, okay, I want to do it. I said, okay, well, let's. So I laced it up. I tried to skate again. I felt like I could do it, so I put probably a good 6 months into it of some training, and we did well. We won the tournament, and after that, I was asked again to be president of the federation. And since I was not playing anymore, and even before I was traveling with current president or some other people, because we had kids playing hockey. Now we have about 1,500 or so, and we're missing some hockey rinks. So the people that also involved in the federation, they said, Zubi, it's a little bit different if you come in as a hockey player or as a president of the federation, and we're talking to the mayors of cities. Let's think about that, and we can probably get a few things done. So after thinking about it, I was elected to be a president. That was 2018. I did for 4 years. Then I was re-elected again. So I've been doing it for 6 now. And I try to see some politicians. We try to teach them a little bit about hockey, how much the arenas could cost, and how to manage them, and how to grow the game, because we've always been a good basketball country. We had players in the NBA, and unfortunately, last couple Olympics we didn't even participate, but we were always pretty good in hockey. No hockey, but the basketball. So I'm trying to get next door neighbors, Latvians. They're good at both.
Yeah.
Now they're good. They were always good at hockey, but now they're good at basketball too. So we're doing some. I think we're improving. We're getting better. We're getting a couple of rinks too. There's a couple more cities that I think in the process and very close to build a few more hockey rinks. So we're hoping for that. Our men's league now have combined with Latvians. We have 2 teams from Lithuania, and we have 1 more from Estonia. So it's a Baltic sort of league like that. And I think it's all good. I think it's because you need, obviously, arenas. Then you need kids to play hockey, but you also need for kids to see men's or some potential where can they grow to, right? Because a little bit of a problem that we run into is the kids that are 16 to 17 in that age group, we kind of lose them because they don't see much of a potential. Why would I do it again? Keep going. Then they start going to schools and education stuff, which is okay. but they can still pursue hockey, and if they're decent hockey players, maybe even get scholarships and things like that. So, yeah. So that's what I've been doing. I've been president of a federation. It's been fun. I go to international federation meetings and congresses and world championships and things like that. So I've overlooked national teams too, are under 18, 20 in the men's. I kind of said right away. I said, let me be sort of overlooking that. So I find coaches. I talk to coaches because I feel that's important. Who runs those programs, how the kids are taught, and make sure that runs smooth. So I've been doing that, and keeps me busy. I have fun with hockey.
It's great that you're still involved, and especially at that level, and in your home country too. I think that's fantastic. It's great to see you again, and great to hear your stories. And I'm really happy to hear that you're helping to grow the game in a part of the world that needs it. I think you're the perfect guy for it.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back. It's honestly, you asked about my brother too. Like the Caps organization.
He's such a good guy. We miss him.
Yes, but they were. I had good memories. My son was born in Annapolis. My daughter was born in Bethesda. I have very good memories of Washington. And never mind, team organization was good to me. They're good to my family. Right? I mean, my brother, George McPhee, I talked to him and I said, because my brother's finishing school, and I said, can I take him on intern maybe? And they brought, and then afterwards, even Ted Leontis yesterday goes, how's your brother? He goes, he was our best salesman.
Everybody loved Audrius.
So,
everybody loved him.
Like I said, Audrius was a likable guy, and he liked being here. So we have good memories. I think next time I should bring him here with me.
Yeah, you should. Definitely tell him I said
plenty
hello.
of people ask about him. So that would be fun.
Thanks to Dainius Zubrus for stopping by. Break the Ice.